So, Disney's decision to pull Rachel Zegler from live performances and interviews ahead of the Snow White remake has definitely sent shockwaves through the entertainment world. Fans, critics, and even casual moviegoers are starting to wonder what exactly is going on here. The live-action version of Snow White was supposed to be this huge, groundbreaking moment for Disney, an opportunity to modernize a classic while keeping the magic of the original alive, but instead, it feels like the entire project is slipping into a whirlwind of controversy. It's almost like Disney is desperately trying to distance itself from a storm that's already brewing, but the real question is it too little, too late? Can they salvage this project, or have they already let it spiral out of control? Let's break this down. Rachel Zegler, the actress cast as Snow White in this high-profile remake, has become the focal point of much of the drama. It all started with some bold, some might say reckless comments she made about the original Snow White story. Zegler called the 1937 animated classic outdated and even went as far as to describe the prince as stalkerish. Now, we all know Snow White holds a special place in the hearts of Disney fans, so those words didn't sit well with people who grew up with the movie. Fans of the original were absolutely outraged by Zegler's comments, and before she knew it, she was thrust into an online firestorm. Twitter, Instagram, Reddit, everywhere you looked, people were arguing, criticizing, and even calling for her to be replaced. But this was no ordinary backlash, this was Disney backlash, and when you're working with a brand as massive as Disney, that kind of heat can be hard to handle. Disney, recognizing that things were spiraling, made the decision to act swiftly. They pulled Rachel Zegler from all promotional events, effectively silencing her presence during what should have been a huge moment for the film. No interviews, no live performances, no public appearances, nothing. On the surface, it seems like a knee-jerk reaction, a way for the company to shut down the growing controversy before it escalates even further. Disney, with all its years of branding expertise, has a reputation for handling difficult situations with a level of calculated finesse, but this decision to distance themselves from Zegler feels almost like they're trying to put out a fire by dousing it with water that's already too hot. The move has definitely raised some serious questions, and it's clear that this decision isn't something Disney takes lightly. For one, it feels a little extreme, especially for a company as polished and strategic as Disney. After all, they've navigated public controversies before, whether it's casting choices, storyline adjustments, or shifting cultural perceptions. Disney isn't exactly known for pulling its talent from the spotlight unless there's something much bigger at stake, which makes us wonder what's really going on behind the scenes here. It doesn't quite add up. Zegler's comments about the original Snow White story weren't exactly shocking. In fact, critiques of fairy tales, particularly Disney classics, have been widespread for years. Critics have regularly pointed out the outdated gender roles, the problematic portrayals of love, i.e., the notion of true love's kiss and the damsel in distress trope, and other issues that modern audiences find hard to overlook. Zegler's remarks were just the latest in a long line of similar commentary, and yet Disney's reaction to her words has been unusually swift and harsh. So why the sudden rush to remove her entirely from the conversation? Is it because of the content of her remarks, or is there something deeper at play here? Could it be that Disney is feeling the pressure to protect its brand in the wake of a larger cultural shift? As companies like Disney grapple with evolving expectations about inclusivity, gender representation, and social responsibility, it's possible that Zegler's comments struck a nerve. Maybe they didn't just want to avoid alienating fans of the classic Snow White, but also were trying to shield themselves from further criticism in a time when every public misstep is heavily scrutinized. This could be a calculated effort to walk a fine line between staying true to the classics and appealing to a more progressive audience, though it's clear that balancing those two opposing forces isn't easy. Could there be more to this than just a few bad comments? Maybe. With the way Disney has been handling its public image lately, especially when it comes to diversity and inclusivity, there might be a larger strategy at play here. Perhaps the company is trying to recalibrate in a way that aligns with a more conservative audience, or attempting to avoid further backlash. Either way, this situation seems to be just the tip of the iceberg. And the drama doesn't stop there. Recently, South Park, the masters of cultural commentary, decided to take a jab at Disney, poking fun at their woke approach to remaking classic stories. Now, South Park has always been known for calling out cultural trends and social movements, but their take on Disney's modern-day inclusivity and diversity push felt especially pointed. In their parody, they mocked Disney for focusing more on ticking off diversity boxes than staying true to the stories that made them famous. It was a biting commentary, and it struck a chord with a lot of people. For many, Disney's recent push for diversity and inclusivity, while well-meaning, seems to be alienating some of the very fans who have supported the company for decades. Instead of honoring the nostalgia of these classic stories, it feels like Disney is rewriting history to be more politically correct, and some fans aren't too happy about it. This South Park episode only added fuel to the fire, with Disney's handling of Snow White now becoming the subject of nationwide debate. It's clear this issue isn't going away anytime soon. But wait, there's even more going on behind the scenes. It turns out that the tension between Zegler and her co-star, Gal Gadot, who plays the evil queen, might be adding fuel to the fire. Reports are circulating that the two actresses have some pretty significant political differences, and these differences are creating tension on set. According to insider sources, the atmosphere on set has become increasingly uncomfortable, with the actresses reportedly clashing over their views on various issues. And when you have a lead actress and one of the movie's key supporting stars butting heads, it doesn't just make for awkward interactions, it affects the entire vibe of the production. Now, fans are getting in on the drama too, with some picking sides and getting involved in the debate. And we all know once fans pick sides, things can get pretty messy. Some are defending Zegler, applauding her for speaking her truth, while others are backing Gadot, arguing that she's being unfairly criticized. Either way, Disney is finding itself stuck in the middle of a public feud that it didn't sign up for. And as if that wasn't enough, there's the matter of the test screenings for the film. Word on the street is that they haven't gone well. Early viewers just didn't seem to connect with Zegler's take on Snow White, and the new reimagined CGI characters, especially the seven dwarfs, failed to impress. The backlash from these screenings reportedly prompted Disney to make the bold decision to cut 3 of Zegler's songs from the movie. Now, cutting songs from a Disney musical is not a move that anyone takes lightly. Disney musicals are known for their iconic songs, and to take them out of the final version speaks volumes about the concern the studio is feeling. The fact that they had to take such drastic action shows just how serious the situation is. At this point, it's clear that Disney is trying to do some serious damage control, but the question remains, can they really fix this? Can they still turn this remake into the success they envisioned, or is it already too far gone? So, what's the deal here? Is Disney simply trying to escape the mess it's created, or is Rachel Zegler just taking the fall for a much bigger issue? Is this all about her controversial comments, or is it more about Disney's approach to remaking these classic stories? It feels like the studio is doing everything it can to distance itself from the controversy, but there's a bigger question that still looms large. Has Disney, in its push for modernity and inclusivity, lost sight of what made its classics so special in the first place? Zegler's comments might just be the spark that lit the fire, but they're really just a symptom of a larger problem. Could Disney's focus on political correctness and modernizing these beloved tales actually be driving a wedge between the studio and its longtime fans? With all this drama, it's impossible to predict where things will go from here. Will Disney be able to fix this train wreck before it derails completely, or are we looking at yet another high-profile failure? With all the public scrutiny, the production tension, and the questionable test screenings, it's hard to see how this project can come back from this. But Disney is a juggernaut. They've weathered storms before, so they might still have a chance. But for now, the question remains, can they save Snow White from becoming a major flop, or is this going to be yet another example of a remake gone wrong? We're really curious to hear what you all think about this situation, because honestly, it's a pretty big deal in the entertainment world right now. Do you think Disney is making a massive mistake by pulling Rachel Zegler from the spotlight like this? It seems like they're trying to avoid further controversy, but at the same time, it raises the question, is Zegler just facing the natural consequences of her own actions, or is Disney overreacting in a way that could backfire? We know there's a lot of support for Zegler out there, and many fans are calling for her to have the chance to explain herself and show her full potential as Snow White. But on the flip side, we also have to ask, did she go too far with her comments about the classic Snow White story? Could this have been avoided if Disney had communicated better with Zegler before letting the situation escalate? This also raises a bigger question about the remake itself. Do you think this new Snow White has a chance of succeeding, or is it doomed from the start? With all the drama surrounding the production, from the test screenings not going well to behind-the-scenes tension between Zegler and co-star Gal Gadot, it feels like the remake might not live up to expectations. Fans have high hopes for the live-action reimagining, but with so many negative factors piling up, can Disney still pull this off, or is this project just heading straight toward disaster? And if this movie does end up being a flop, what does that mean for the future of Disney's live-action remakes? It's not just Snow White, we're talking about The Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast, Mulan, and others. If one of these big-budget remakes fails, it could seriously affect Disney's strategy moving forward. It's clear that the controversy surrounding Rachel Zegler is more than just a case of a few controversial comments. This is part of a much larger conversation about Disney's current direction. This whole situation seems to highlight a tension between Disney's desire to be seen as progressive and inclusive, and the fear that this could alienate longtime fans who hold the original versions of these stories close to their hearts. Disney's push for diversity, gender equality, and political correctness in their remakes has sparked backlash, not only from fans who feel that these changes are undermining the classic magic, but also from critics who think Disney is trying too hard to modernize stories that were originally created in a different cultural context. Is this cultural shift a positive one, or is it becoming too much for fans to accept? Are they going too far with the changes to the characters, stories, and the very essence of what made these Disney classics timeless in the first place? This controversy is really making us reflect on Disney's larger strategy. Could it be that Disney is prioritizing the approval of a new generation of viewers and critics over keeping their long-standing fans happy? If so, will this strategy backfire, or are they simply adapting to a changing cultural landscape, trying to ensure that their content resonates with today's audience? It's hard to ignore the fact that every major move Disney makes these days seems to be under a microscope, and their attempts to navigate the growing demand for inclusivity could either catapult them into a new era of relevance or leave them scrambling to hold onto the legacy that's made them an entertainment powerhouse for decades. Then there's the question of how Disney is handling their talent. In this case, Rachel Zegler, who was just cast as one of the most iconic princesses of all time, found herself in the middle of a storm that seems to have spiraled out of control. Does pulling her from the spotlight signal a deeper problem in the way Disney manages its stars and handles controversy? Instead of standing by Zegler and trying to frame her comments within a larger conversation, Disney has distanced itself from her entirely. Could they have turned this around and used it as an opportunity for dialogue about the evolution of classic stories? Was there another way to address the criticism that would have benefited both Zegler and Disney in the long run? We really want to hear what you all think. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. What do you make of Disney's decision to sideline Zegler? Is she getting a raw deal, or is this a consequence of the environment she's in? Do you think this remake has any chance of succeeding, or do you think it's too far gone? And do you think Disney is doing more harm than good with its current strategy? How far can they push the inclusivity angle before they start alienating fans who just want to see the stories they grew up with? We love hearing your opinions and reading through all your perspectives. This is definitely a conversation that's not going away anytime soon. And hey, before we dive deeper into this ongoing drama, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you never miss an update as this Snow White saga continues to unfold. The situation is constantly evolving, and you can bet we'll be following every twist and turn. If you thought this was the end of the controversy, think again. There's still so much more to come, and we'll be right here bringing you all the details as they unfold. This whole Snow White remake has already stirred up plenty of conversation, but it's clear that Disney's decision to pull Rachel Zegler from the spotlight has taken things to a whole new level. We're not just talking about a few bad comments or a change in casting here. No, this feels like a much bigger issue with far-reaching implications for Disney's future approach to remakes, inclusivity, and how they handle public relations. The backlash has been intense, and with new developments happening almost daily, there's no telling where this will all lead. But don't worry, we'll be keeping a close eye on everything. From insider reports to fan reactions and everything in between, we've got you covered. Whether it's new controversies, behind-the-scenes drama, or surprise announcements, we're here to dissect it all. Trust us, this is just the beginning of what promises to be a long and controversial road for Disney, and we're here for every minute of it, so don't forget to join the conversation and let us know your thoughts on all of this. With so many moving parts, we want to hear where you stand in this heated Snow White saga. There's a lot more to come, and you won't want to miss it.